Friday afternoon, obviously, for anybody that was here, it was quite an eventful day, and we're thankful that there wasn't any loss of life, at least in the Lancaster County area, and from what I've heard up northeast of us, fortunately, no lives lost up there. So we're thankful for that. But certainly, we've got some people in our community here locally that they're going through a really hard time right now. Specifically, Garner Industries suffered a pretty devastating loss to their facility there near 98th and Highway 6. We got a call about 3 p.m. That event was taking place and that they had a partial building collapse. And we had deputies respond along with EMS and fire workers from Waverly Fire. Got on scene, and it was very devastating damage that we found upon arrival. There were cars that were thrown, that were laying, in the street and the parking lot and fields outside of the business. There were a lot of power lines down, even some roofing supports we were having to try and move off the road just so that we could get vehicles in there. And I know that there were at least 3 people that were injured inside Garner Industries that were transported to local hospitals. Fortunately, we understand that those injuries were not life-threatening, and again, we're just very thankful that the injuries were as minor as they were. And I guess I would just give credit to Garner Industries and their staff for taking the warnings seriously. And I think they took steps to protect their staff and employees on scene there, and that made a huge difference when it came to injuries and preventing loss of life at that facility. It's always terrible to have to deal with property damage, and certainly there was a significant amount of property damage to them. And in talking with our emergency management partners, it sounds like as many as 9 private residences in the county suffered some sort of damage of varying degrees. And this is certainly a tragic event for all of those people that were directly impacted. But when we look at it in terms of injuries and loss of life, we're just certainly thankful that it could have been much, much worse.
Were those other properties damaged? Were they mainly by Waverly, or were they in Waverly at all?
Pretty much in a kind of that diagonal line. I'll leave it to the experts at the National Weather Service to pinpoint the exact path, but pretty much from the northeast corner of Lincoln, the 84th and Highway 6 area, and then on northeast, kind of along the west side of Waverly was the path as I understand it. But we had a lot of deputies that were there on scene that made entry into the building and helped to clear that building out. But we had a lot of partner agencies that were out there. Waverly Fire, Lincoln Fire and Rescue, Lincoln Police Department was huge as far as helping us out with traffic so that our deputies could work the incident scene there at Garner. We also had a lot of utility folks from LES, Black Hills Energy. There was a gas leak at Garner Industries that posed a little bit of a hazard to first responders and obviously the people that were there, and they were able to get that contained relatively quickly. So just, again, thankful to all of those people. State Patrol I forgot to mention too, but they were also huge in helping us with traffic. And then Nebraska Department of Transportation, they put in a lot of work along with our Lancaster County Engineering Office to try and get Highway 6 open back up for football traffic then on Saturday morning, and give people a way to get in and out of the Lincoln community. So we're glad that those events were able to be held. Obviously a little bit of a darker day, I think, as some have called it, and I'd certainly agree with that, but we're glad that it could have been much, much worse.
You didn't have to do any rescues or anything out of those homes at all? Did people get out okay on their own?
Just speaking for our staff, I'm unaware of any rescues that we had assisted with, but my understanding is that people were able to either self-evacuate themselves. I don't know of any that were damaged to the extent that Garner Industries was, but.
How long has it been since Lancaster County has had a tornado like this kind of damage?
Well, everybody thinks back to Hallam. We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of that. We've had some other weather events that have happened over the years, and I think back to it. I believe it was a tornado that touched down in the Wagon Train Lake area east of Hickman back about 2013, where there were some homes that were damaged. A camping area took a pretty big hit. Then there may be others that I'm forgetting, but it's just a good reminder, myself included, that these storms can definitely cause a lot of damage and are a threat to property, but also to people's lives. And just a really, really good reminder that we have to take those warnings seriously. But credit to the National Weather Service. I mean, they were talking about this days in advance, just that the conditions were right for something like this to happen. We give them a hard time sometimes about when they get it wrong, but I think this one they got right, and they saved lives by their warnings.